So enough about all that. Let's get to you, because that's what we brought you down for. Why don't we tell everybody out there again what you do, what Kellustration is. We'll give them the quick version so that if they heard it before, and then we can get into what you're working on right now.
Got it. Well, Kellustration, we're an art studio, but we pretty much we focus on art reproduction for reprinted comics. So when you want, if DC Comics, they want to reprint some old Superman comics, they don't have any film or any, because everything's digital these days. They don't have any of the original film in their archives, and all they have are just copies of the original comics. They go ahead, scan them in, or they hire us to go find copies of the books. We scan them in and then turn them into digital copies that are basically where we go in and we restore the line art to try to make it look as close to what it would have looked like on the original art page. So whatever, 40, 50, 60, 70 years ago.
So where did it become, in your career, where did the divergence of just plain out art change to restoring art, for the most part?
Well, I started, for like the first 10 years, I was just a struggling artist. Well, try to keep it as short as possible. I had a full-time job, and I would come home. I had two little kids, well, at least one little kid at the time. And so I'd come home from work after your 9 to 12-hour day, spend a few hours with the family. Then when they go to bed, as Deb would attest to, just stay up all night drawing and get 3 or 4 hours of sleep every night if I'm lucky. And that went on for, a good 6 or 7 years. I started getting published, self-published, then I got some assignments through some smaller indie publishers.
Like?
Kellleher was the biggest one. And that's when we decided, okay, I'm gonna try to give this, I'm gonna give it a shot and go. So I quit my job. I would say that would be like 97, 98, and I was getting little jobs here and there, but not a huge amount of work. I was completely anti-computer. I thought computers were the devil and they had no place in the art world, but I bought a computer and started learning how to use Photoshop, and luckily it was around the time when digital colorists were really in demand. So I started doing digital coloring, hooked up with a few other well-established comic colorists, including Dean White. And at one point, my goodness, it was in 2003. I'm just taking coloring jobs anywhere I can, barely making ends meet. I mean, barely making ends meet. So I was helping out my buddy Dean White, and he hooked me up with his editor over at Marvel, who had just been put in charge of reviving the Marvel Masterworks series, which had been kind of defunct for a few years. Yeah. And it was just, they were looking for someone who had a knowledge of coloring and a love of old comics, and I had both of those. And yeah, that was 2003, and we haven't stopped.